Unprecedented times call for unprecedented measures. My dear brothers and sisters, these are the latter days. If you and I are to withstand the forthcoming perils and pressures, it is imperative that we each have a firm spiritual foundation. And oh, how we will need His power in the days ahead.
Travis Wayne Goodsill. So this is going to be different for me. I have to put myself in a different mindset talking to ex-Mormons now, since Mormons are now commanded to stay away from all forms of entertainment. As conference weekend, Nelson gave the order: no books, no news, no social media, stay away from Babylon. Hilarious. And so I expect that Mormons will be good and obedient and stay away from social media, and thus stay away from my channel, and thus I should expect to see more thumbs up and not a single thumbs down anymore, because Mormons are obedient, right? I would hate to have Mormons be disobedient and be denied exaltation because they put a thumbs down on my video. So, with Nelson's panic, this is what you do when you know you're busted and something's coming out that will expose you. Nelson pulled this stunt, if you remember. It's been a long time. It's his solemn assembly when he first did it. He said, stay away from the news, stay away from social media, because whatever you might hear is fake news. And so I had forgotten all about it as a month went by, and then Fox 13 News Utah, Max Roth, did the report of the $32 billion in brand new LLC corporations, thanks to Orrin Hatch and that tax bill that was rushed at the end of 2017. You know, and they said it was all for Trump. Hatch isn't going to do it for Trump when the church wants something done. He's going to make sure the church gets taken care of. This is what Mormons do as a criminal action when they are in government office. You're not supposed to favor individuals or corporations. You're supposed to make laws that benefit every person, every citizen equally. And our government just refuses to do that, and Hatch is no different. And so here he is again. And at first I was thinking, uh-oh, Perils? Now there's what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's where you make a prophecy that something's going to happen, but you have already set up the parameters to make it happen, to make yourself a false prophet. Magicians do it in their show. You know, they already have a preset secret as to how they perform their magic tricks, but they deceive the public into thinking it's all just magic. You know, that type of thing. I exposed Governor Cox with a self-fulfilling prophecy, conspiratorial plot to murder us. Murder. Governor Cox. Murder. Do you understand the seriousness of this? Our governor, Mormon, was involved in a conspiratorial plot to murder us, and it's being carried out right now. as I had intercepted an email from the director of the University of Utah's mental health department, the CEO guy. He had communicated in this email to another person who needs to be anonymous, obviously, that back in January, the beginning of the year, 2021, he was working with the governor to cause the spread and escalation of coronavirus so that he can have more clients at his hospital unit there at the University of Utah. Now, psychology is a fake science anyway. There is pseudo junk science. But to see that he was so desperate for more clients, thus more money, that he would actually cause suffering and death to Utahns in order to get more clients. That was horrendous. And I still have yet to get back any word from any government investigative agency, intelligence agency, as to what they're doing about this. Again, if you're not going to hold people responsible, then the rest of society says, well, it's a free-for-all, we can do whatever we want, it's survival of the fittest, which destroys the society. And that's what they want. They want to destroy society. Just as Steve Bannon. I did the videos way back in the day because the Daily Beast interviewed Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon said, I want to destroy America. That's what I'm doing with this 2016 election. I want America destroyed. And after he got Trump in, as he was part of that conspiracy, he then went off to Europe and helped trash Europe. And that Steve Bannon has now been exposed as one of the members of the secret combination in America. I did the video about the little black book of all the members, and the Scousins have been members of this secret combination to destroy America. And Oakes is affiliated with members of this group, as he's been rewarded by them. And so the church, not only is the Great and Abominable Church, but they're working with the secret band of Gideon to destroy America. And so when Nelson comes out and says there are perils coming in the coming days, I at first was thinking, oh no, Plan B is in effect in the coming days. And it's possible we have the vote in Congress over the debt limit. MAGA is refusing to raise the debt limit to save America's economy, keep America running. Even progressives are purposely trying to sabotage it by saying, we're not going to pass that debt ceiling unless you do this other bill too. Yeah, screw America, burn it to the ground. And so, yeah, that is a possible peril that I was thinking he was saying. But it's not something that Nelson couldn't have just come out and openly told us and warned us about. He was vague. That's all he did was say perils in the coming days. And he put the onus of the burden on Mormons. You know, Jesus says, my burden is easy, my yoke is light. But not in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so as I was thinking about his talk, it was focused on the temple endowment priesthood loyalty oaths, as he calls them, covenants, as he refers to them as the covenant path. As you can tell now, that's what he meant this whole time by covenant path, is loyalty and obedience to him. Because the first one is obedience. Women obey their husbands. Nelson changed it so that women give obedience to God. But yeah, God's not real. He's fake. They don't speak with God. So who is he talking about? Yeah, the prophets. They even came out in this conference and said, Nelson speaks for God. So the first law of obedience, women now obey the prophet. And what does the prophet tell women to do in their marriage? Obey your husband. It was a trap, and women fell for it. Even the critical news, fell for it. The ordained women. Oh, we're so grateful they're making progress towards liberating women. No. It was a trap, and you fell for it. Just like the NAACP keeps falling for it every time the church is racist. It's just, dear God. When are people going to wake up and realize what's really going on? That they're being used and played for suckers and losers. And so men obey the prophets. Loyalty, obedience to the prophets. So the second one is sacrifice. Give up your own lives if necessary in sustaining and defending the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. What? I've got to kill myself to defend the church? Yeah. But the church is committing crimes. They're terrorists. They're committing treason. Are we still supposed to protect them in wickedness? The answer is no. You do not obey corrupt orders. And in religious terms, it's wicked orders. And to go against America would be a corrupt order. You're not supposed to form a new government over America. Confederates never understood that. MAGA does not understand that. The progressives don't understand that. Neither do Democrats and Republicans, but nobody understands it. And so, yeah, what Nelson was doing was panicking. You have Oakes, who says Mormons who have left church activity, get back to church now. I am extorting and threatening you to come back to church attendance. Church attendance. What the hell? And that was the first clue, is because if the church is claiming 16 plus million membership, but nobody's attending but maybe 2 or 3 million, what happens when you're making a deal to have land for the temple and you're telling this foreign government or another state, hey, we've got 16 million members, we need to have a temple here, can you help us? Oh, okay, 16 million, wow, all right. When you only have 2 to 3 million and the majority of them are right here in Utah, yeah, that's called a fraud. Trump did that as he was exposed on his tax forms. as he would lower the value when he didn't want to pay a lot, and then would raise the value when he wanted. It's the same practice, and the church is pulling that with membership numbers. That's why Oakes was panicking for church attendance. He needed to justify that the church is worth $16 million in membership, and it ain't gonna happen. It ain't happening for a long time. Because remember, 2012, ABC4 News Utah came out. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is losing a record number of members. If you've seen that clip that I've been putting for you, yep, that was down to 5 million back then, as they were guessing. And so, yeah, having done the research myself, and I've done the videos on it, yeah, we're down to 2 or 3 million now. So you may be going to church here in Utah, and you may be seeing your church ward for sacrament fully packed, violating the coronavirus, helping to spread and escalate it. But the rest of the world ain't Utah. So, number 3, gospel. Oakes, in a PBS interview, and it gets banned in UK when I put the clip in. And it shouldn't, because it's a partial clip, and it's in a context of a fuller explanation for the purposes of education and religion and so forth. So there is no copyright violation. But YouTube is a law unto themselves. But nonetheless, Oakes is telling the interviewer, it's wrong to criticize leaders of the church even when the criticism is correct. No, it's not. You lie. He's protecting himself so that he can get away with whatever he wants. And we all know it, but Mormons let it go over their heads and ignore it. Or see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And that's the gospel law covenant. No evil speaking of the Lord's anointed. That's where that one comes from. And so that's what Oakes was twisting, was that gospel covenant to PBS. And then 4 is the law of chastity. This is what's called compromat by Russia. It's where we get the word compromise, or compromised. It's where you have to sacrifice something that you want in order to get something done. That's a compromise. It's a lose situation. If you're familiar with Stephen R. Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he's the one with the win-win thing. And you'll even hear it on the news. Other news sources, national news, will talk about, hey, it's a win-win. That's where they got it from, Stephen R. Covey's book. And he's got some good stuff, but I've corrected him. I won't go into that. But nonetheless, win-win is a good thing. You don't want to force the other person to lose in a negotiation. You know, that's not healthy in an economic business relationship or a working relationship or any marital relationship. You know, you don't want the man to say, to trump the wife with, hey, I'm the presider in the home, you have to obey me, that's from your temple covenant. That's not a healthy relationship. Nonetheless, I've seen it in my own parents growing up as a kid. You know, they would have a disagreement They would separate themselves from us as kids to go into their master bedroom and shut the door, even though we could still hear. But nonetheless, they didn't want to do it in front of us, and they would argue back and forth, and Dad would pull the presider card, and Mom would be silent and submit, even though she, in her own head, knew she was right. She was not right, but neither was he. But that's how Mormon families work, because of the temple covenants. But with the law of chastity, it's a criminal compromise, especially now with Nelson back in power and having changed it. Originally, Brigham Young was the one who designed it all. Joseph Smith had nothing to do with this. He wasn't going to have any part of any of the endowment ceremony. Joseph was all washing and anointing and the marriage. But Brigham is the one who extorted Mormons secretly at first under Joseph's back, behind Joseph's back, under his authority. Not under him. Well, no, it was his. Brigham Young was doing his own thing. He was trying to get Joseph out of the picture constantly, having him arrested for false accusations so that he could run the church while Joseph was gone, so that he then could take over. And had to eventually murder him. And Brigham Young then had the polygamy, saying, oh no, Joseph approves of this, this is okay, it's all right for us to have sex. And so yeah, that horrible atrocity committed behind Joseph Smith's back. And so when Joseph is dead, Brigham Young has to get members, and you have to get women. If you're going to have a posterity, you got to get women to join. And so again, he's pulling the, hey, Joseph Smith was practicing it in secret, it's okay, because it's from the Lord. It's a crime. It was a crime back then, it's a crime now today. But nonetheless, women were property, they were not human, they had no rights, could not vote, and what do? You're just going to be abandoned? No, you have no choice but to be a kidnapped hostage to Brigham Young, as he then sex traffics these women into Mexico territory, and eventually, when he incorporates his church in 1852, he announces, we're officially doing polygamy, in complete and direct rebellion and defiance of the United States, which had made Utah a territory by then. He was purposely defying the government. And church was disincorporated under Wilford Woodruff, but not for polygamy. It was for the tithing yard. They were committing tithing fraud, financial fraud, as they were extorting Mormons from Europe as they came to Utah to pay tithing, and they can get citizenship. No, Brigham. No. And so under Wilford Woodruff, the church was shut down, dissolved, gone. Bye-bye priesthood. But the church doesn't want to acknowledge that when they reincorporated in 1923. And so Nelson changed it to allow for polygamy again. And if you don't understand compromise, it's where you want to do business with somebody, or a criminal organization says, we're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Do us a favor, though. And here's some money for you to invest for us. We want you to do these certain things. Well, likewise, not just money, but they can also do honey traps. This is where women in Russia, is where the practice comes from, get sent to an official or individual's place where they need them to be fully loyal and obedient. And so they'll send a woman, hey, can I do anything for you? Well, Russia has surveillance systems, and thus, once they accept the woman into the house, it's all on tape, the P-tape, remember that? And Russia's got you. You now have to do what they tell you to do, or they leak the tape. Or they say, well, hey, if you tell on us, you go to prison too, and we'll just deny it, and then you're the one stuck going to prison. You know, like Michael Cohen. He confessed and said, yes, I was complicit, I was under the orders of Trump. Cohen goes to prison. Trump still set free, never going to prison at all. What's up with that? But yeah, it's the church. They are purposely having Mormons pay the protection racket of tithing, demanding loyalty and obedience, and originally you were forced to have polygamous marriages, which were a crime, all so that you would protect and defend the church against the United States of America. That's why the church was shut down. And Nelson is bringing it back. And they still didn't really depart fully from it, because I went over the sealing text with you. Women still are slaves to their husbands. That was not changed. As much as it's nice, beautiful, oh, so spiritual, you know, to be kneeling at the altar as the sealer is going over all the blessings of eternities. Everybody does not catch, give yourself to your husband. Receive your husband, but give yourself to your husband. They don't see that. And then the law of consecration, where you have to give everything to the church when they call for you to give it to them. All your money, your home, your food, your clothing, give it to the church. You'll be blessed. The church is more important than the individual. How wrong is that? You can't have a church without the individuals. Zion and Scripture is the people. And the church purposely twisted that. And so now I understand what Nelson's doing. He's panicking. He's under investigation by the government. And I didn't see it because I'm being kept in the dark. I've been whistleblowing over and over again to agency after agency after agency. Even in my lawsuits, I made sure to put incriminating information because I knew they were not going to allow me to petition for a redress of grievances. It's the First Amendment, if you're unfamiliar with it. Because the federal judges here in Utah are all compromised to the church. They pay the protection racket of tithing, and thus they have to be loyal to the church. Otherwise, the church will fire them, like Judge First. Remember her? No? It's because she got fired. Because she did not do what the church wanted her to do. And that was dismiss, with prejudice, Gaddy versus COP. And so they're fleeing again. They're making plans to flee. Nelson is ordering Mormons to arms. That in the coming days, a decision from the investigation will be made. And I'm kind of surprised that it would be this quick. But my computer, I'm able to do videos again on TWG and Travis Wayne Goodsell because I'm not being cyber attacked on my computer. And there are certain people who don't understand this. They complain that, oh yeah, you said you're leaving and never coming back. Final, whatever. They did not listen. They did not care to listen. It was because I was under cyber attack. I was not being allowed to post videos anymore. Even academia denied me in the uploading of videos. That was a new thing they were doing, and already they're denying me. So yeah, the church got to them. The church has already gotten to YouTube by throttling the views with their algorithm program. And if you notice in the temple announcements, there's what's called non-extradition countries, where if you flee to such a country, the United States can't extradite you for indictment and justice in America. And among yesterday's, Congo and Madagascar immediately stick out because they're on that list. What else was on that list? Taiwan is on that list. Brazil is on the list with clarification. If you are a citizen of Brazil, you can't go to the United States. So Soares, he's Brazilian. He's got dual citizenship. And so he could flee to Brazil and not be extradited back to America. Cambodia was the last one. Remember that? They just did the groundbreaking ceremony in September. And China, you remember that? Shanghai. Yeah, China is a non-extradition country. So, yeah, those were the non-extradition countries that the church is making advancements in. And so all the church has to do is claim, oh, well, this is a religious trip. We're checking out the church around the world, and so we need to go to this non-extradition country. Oh, you guys are about to indict us? Oh, sorry, we'll definitely come back and face justice, we promise. Yes, that's a planned escape that they've got going. He knows, because if it were a destruction, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because he's not telling us specifically, he's not helping us prepare for it. So he's causing it, or know who is causing it, because they're helping, aiding and abetting, or through funding, like Russia. And so that Solar Winds, that was a Mormon company here in Orem. I did the video. How did Russia know to go through them? How did Russia know that they would be such a treasure trove? It's because the church invests in Solar Winds. And just would happen to slip the information to them. Oh yeah, Solar Winds. And so it would be a self-fulfilling prophecy, exposing Nelson as behind the Perils. But this other information now makes it very clear the church is under investigation for all kinds of accusations for which they are panicking and demanding obedience and loyalty, as they're trying to do it through code, because they can't come right out and say, "To arms, Mormons, the federal government is investigating us, we demand you attack." They can't do that. That would make it worse for them. And so instead, he coded it. Your temple endowment priesthood covenants is the code. Sacrifice your life to defend the church. Give everything to the church. We have compromised you. Give loyalty to us. You owe us. And then extortion threats. You're going to be denied exaltation. You're going to be burned in the second coming. You're not going to be saved with your family forever. Blah, blah, blah. All extortion threats. We tighten protection act. It's compromised. And so that seems to be what it is that the church is about to fall. Because if they knew that they were under investigation and they were doing nothing wrong, there'd be nothing to fear. Government isn't going to just investigate because some guy says, "Oh, the church is being mean, investigate them." No, you have to have evidence and documents and proof and etc. You can't just make a claim. And that's what I've been doing. That's what James Huntsman was doing. But he messed it up by calling it a donation. And so I don't see it as James Huntsman's lawyers having called for the investigation. My second lawsuit was given to Attorney General Barr. And that's why Barr came out that one weekend telling prosecutors to use the sedition law against Black Lives Matter protesters. That was because of me, because I had sued the church under that. But now Garland is in, and I've again reminded him, hey, Barr refused to do this and instead wanted Black Lives Matter to be used according to what I had sued the church for. So I'm hoping that Merrick Garland is investigating the church or some other agency because of all the nagging and complaining. Why aren't you doing your job? I've given you the church on a silver platter. They're destroying America. Oh look, the little black book. Guess what I've been telling you this whole time? And so yes, that's the only thing I can think of, is that it's because of me. Although I did give James's lawyers a whole document explaining tithing, because James blew it. That's another possibility, but I doubt it, because that's too late in the game. They have to give an appeal within 28 days, and I doubt an investigation would have been approved and commenced and finished within the 28 days for James Huntsman's lawyers to then go to the court saying that, oh yeah, our investigation with the government has found that yes, we are correct, get them. I don't see that. But I don't know, maybe they can ask for an extension and say that there's an investigation that they're waiting to hear from. That's possible. But until that day comes, or something sooner, we won't know exactly what the cause is for Nelson to panic and demand that the Mormons rise up to arms to defend the church in the coming days. So, because it's not MAGA, the church is all about MAGA. You know, evangelicals are MAGA. Nelson, especially in this conference, we are Christian. Everybody must accept us as Christian. We have the name. Jesus is mad when you use nicknames. We are Christian. Jesus, Christian. He's afraid of evangelicals. MAGA. You're not supposed to be afraid of the world and what they can do to you. I'm not. I've been tortured for 6 years. I almost died. But yeah, I cannot deny the truth. And that's what the church has been threatening to have me do. Travis, be silent. No, Travis. Be silent. Don't disobey us. Don't go against us. I know Joseph Smith is wrong. Trust us. Be silent. Okay, we're shutting down your website. We're shutting down your business on Amazon. We're shutting down your views on YouTube. Oh, now we have to cyber attack you, etc., etc., etc. Paid for and ordered your murder. Be silent, Travis. We're going to have you evicted. Be silent, Travis. That's what I've had to face to get you guys the truth of what's going on. So now that Mormons are out of the picture, they're not allowed to put a thumbs down. So it's up to you ex-Mormons now to carry the torch, the tiki torch. Mormons will not replace us. Dear God, why can't we all just get along? It's because evil people exist.